Hello everyone and welcome to Balkan Asia Convention. I'm Milan aka Kronosart, and today I have a really good friend here to be my guest. If you ever played Overwatch, you probably heard about OmnicPost page on Instagram. And today, here with me is none else than the guy who stands behind that page, the Belgian Viking, Big D. Hey D, welcome to Balkan Asia Convention.
Hey man, hey Mel, how you doing? My pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it.
Always, you're really doing a great job with the page. So
Thank
for
you,
every
thank you
Overwatch
for the
fan.
nice intro. That was beautiful. That was
Oh,
really
thank you,
inspiring.
thank you. Okay, so I just want to know first, how long are you playing Overwatch? From the beginning or?
Oh, even from before the beginning. I used to be involved in a gaming magazine here in Belgium,
Mhm.
and I've always been a big fan of Blizzard. So every game that Blizzard ever released, I was really into it. So at BlizzCon a few years back, they announced Overwatch, and my first reaction was like, "What? A shooter? Blizzard shooter? That's weird." So I was kind of skeptical at the start, but I got a beta key because I was involved with the magazine, and I started playing it immediately, and I was hooked. Like I remember that evening after I played like for a few hours, going back into the living room and telling my girlfriend like, "Oh damn, this is actually really good. Blizzard has made a shooter that I enjoy, which is so rare." So yeah, I was hooked at that point, and I played throughout the whole beta. And then that's where it started, and it never stopped up till today. I'm still playing, so really having a good time with it still after all these years.
Yeah, that can happen with Overwatch. Like even if you got too many hours playing and you're like, I need to cool down a little. After a month, you're like, ooh, I wish I could just sit and play again.
Yeah,
Especially if you have a big crew with who you're playing. That's
exactly.
the best
Yeah,
thing in Overwatch. If you just go and play by yourself, it's not that fun. But if you
yeah.
have a big crew, that's a different story completely. So how did you actually got the idea to create an OmnicPost?
Yeah, I know it's really something different, right? It's something that hasn't been seen before on Instagram
Yeah.
in general. So, like I said, I used to work. Well, I was involved with a company. I was part of a company that made digital magazines, basically gaming magazines, with two good friends. Those people are still really good friends of mine. But they came out of a really old school background, so they used to make paper magazines, and they kind of slowly evolved rather into digital stuff. And they kind of brought me on board, like because I'm an expert and I'm a graphic designer, UX expert from as my trade. That's what I do for my living. And they were like, "Oh yeah, come help us out." But we kind of noticed that they were really stuck on their old model, and I wanted to do something new with the way you bring gaming news to people. I'm really convinced that the time where people just passively or they go looking for stuff themselves actively, going look for news is gone. People get all that news just kind of broadcasted to them that they became lazy. No, they are in a good circumstance. They have the luxury of just waiting for the news to come to them. So I decided we need to be somewhere where people live on a daily basis, where they kind of get their content on a daily basis, and social media is an important part of that. But they weren't really on board, and we ended up kind of doing different things. I left the company, and one of these days I had a meeting or I had a lunch with them, and like I said, they're still friends of mine. I came back home. I was not complaining, but it was like venting, like they really need to do something. I don't know, with Instagram or this or that. And she was like, "Why don't you do it yourself?" And I was like, huh, "That's actually a good point." So I started thinking, what is the game I'm really passionate about right now? And that was Overwatch. So I started just making a logo, started thinking about my concept. How am I going to post this? How am I going to bring the news to the people? Which took me a few days. Started doing it. That's 3 years ago. And it just bam, it was gone. Like in a matter of weeks, I had a few hundred followers. In a matter of months, I had a few thousand, and now we're closing in on 200,000 people, which is insane. If I look back at the trajectory, I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah, exactly. But OmnicPost is just one of your pages, where
Yeah.
one of the pages you're running. So how much work that is? How
Um,
tough can be to manage to put all the content on so many pages?
It is. It is. Let's just say I don't sleep that much. So I have my day job, which I like from 9 to 7 or something like that. I'm doing my day job, and after that I start grinding. Now, when it comes to all my other pages, so I have pages about World of Warcraft, about Heroes of the Storm, about basically all the Blizzard products, and even some others. I do get some help from people, like when it comes to anything that is not Overwatch related. Back in the day, I was really involved myself, but I kind of found out because I started streaming, started making videos. Like, okay, I'm going to just crash at some point. So I started looking for help. But the OmnicPost itself is a full day job, and it just comes down to when that news comes in, just looking over the internet, just making sure you have these places where you know you'll find your sources. Reddit is an important part of that, but just the community, the forums, just people talking about stuff, keeping track of those, putting in systems and work. Like I have every hour there's emails coming in of bots that are just scraping and looking at what is happening in news-wise when it comes to Overwatch. And I have some friends that help me develop tools. Like to make my posts back in the day when I started, I have to do everything in Photoshop. I love Photoshop. I use it on a daily basis. But to make those posts, it took me like, let's say 15 minutes to make every post. And I got a tool that a friend of mine made, and it's like 2 minutes work now. It's just all in a web interface. So over the years, I kind of optimized my whole process. But the most important thing is still kind of keeping your finger on the pulse of what is happening in Overwatch, which in this, I knew this was going to happen, but this year, because we're in between two games, Overwatch 1 is slowly kind of fading away, and Overwatch 2 is on the horizon, but we don't know where. We have no idea when we'll see any update and when it's going to happen. It's difficult right now. And I can tell by the interactions I see on my account and how people are involved. That people are slowly losing interest, but it will be back the moment Overwatch 2 hits. It'll be gone again, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to kind of get that content out there.
Yeah, well, a lot of new games came out, and of course, everyone is trying to see what's new. And like Overwatch is there for, well, let's just say a long time right now, with all the buffs and nerfs and everything that Jeff says from time to time. Like you start to lose interest in the game, but eventually, as you said, you will get back to the game when something new comes out. I think that is the point with the challenges they are more often putting right now. So you need to come and play 9 games to get it.
I think they made a really big plan somewhere last year, because I was at BlizzCon and they told us like, okay, the next year is going to be really quiet. It's going to be really hard for content creators to kind of find anything to talk about. They warned us. But they had this plan with the challenges. I think you're right on target. Like the challenges are there to keep the audience interested and to keep you coming back to the game. But also like with the summer games, the event that will be starting soon. Now, if the whole crisis hadn't been there, the Corona crisis, we would have had the Olympics, and they kind of had this whole plan. Okay, the Olympics are going to happen. We're going to hook these events on the Olympics, these events, and they had this whole plan laid out. And up till now, that has been working pretty good for them. I think it would have been way worse. The numbers would have dropped substantially more if they hadn't done this, if they didn't do this plan. But yeah, they're smart. They know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing.
Yeah, they definitely do. So after the OmnicPost, you run that page, then you actually start streaming the game.
Yeah.
How?
Well, I had my Twitch channel for the OmnicPost, and my original idea was, like always, that's how I operate. I look at something, I figure out what is the thing that people need. That's my way of working in anything I do. I always try to find out what the end users need and what they think would be awesome. And I looked at my Twitch channel. I just made a Twitch channel because at some point I thought, okay, we need to start streaming. That would be really cool to do that. And my first thing I did was actually inviting other streamers to stream on my channel. Just look at streamers that needed a platform and that wanted to grow, that looked really, what their content looked really cool, and inviting them, which worked out pretty well at the start. I got a lot of reactions in, a lot of people were interested, a lot of people that didn't have the, let's just say, the dedication of pulling it through the whole way. But there were some really awesome people in there the thing was then you had to kind of manage all these schedules and all these people, which was a humongous task by itself. And I felt I couldn't give enough to those streamers. I couldn't give them enough of a recognition, and which kind of sucked. And that's something I don't want to do. I don't want to leech of anybody. That's why I do a lot of the stuff myself, is because I'll quickly feel like I'm not giving back to what the effort that they put in. So I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to start streaming myself. I'm going to put my face on everything, just my identity, and kind of it's a slightly different identity of the real like the real person. The person on stream is usually a little more upbeat, happy, like. But that's the way you do it. The same with my videos. Like, people must sometimes think that I'm constantly yelling at everybody, but I'm actually pretty chill overall. Yeah. I started streaming first like 2 days a week. I felt like I need to do this every day of the week. That's the way we're going to grow. And up till now, that has proven to work. I think we are still a small channel, but we kind of, there's these different plateaus when you start streaming. And the first plateau is like 3 to 5 people. The next plateau is 20 people. And now we're above the 20 people. So we're like, the last few weeks, we've had a decent amount of people on the channel, and just keep grinding. It's grinding.
Yeah, like in every single game we play, we grind
Exactly.
that time to get better at it. But what I noticed since I came and played with you a few times on your stream, there is always a really nice group of people with you constantly.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like you surrounded yourself with an awesome crew. Like, they're always there, even if they're not playing with you, they're in chat and communicating with the other who just came for the first time. That was like the first thing I saw, and I was like, oh my god, they're really nice, they're friendly. And that's what always makes me come back to the OmnicPost, because it's like we know each other for, like, I don't know, years, and not just like a few months or something like that.
I really appreciate that you say that, because that is really important to me. Is when I look at, and that's no comment on any other streamers, but when I look at streaming in general, I sometimes feel like the toxicity and the negativity, it's such an easy medium to just start poking at people because you're basically hidden behind that little name. And that's something I kind of wanted to avoid. And to be honest, it's just, it grew naturally by just kind of shifting, by making sure that you send out the positive message, and you kind of try to create a platform for these people to feel like being nice would gain them something. And that just drew in the correct people, that drew in the right people. The people that are there to talk trash get discouraged so quickly that they leave immediately, while the people that are just there to have a good time, have fun, they stick around. And it's like, I didn't have to ask anybody. Like, as soon as someone new comes in, everybody's like, hey, how you doing? Welcome. And like, I don't have to, that makes my life so easy. And it's such a pleasure to see that happen. And I try to kind of encourage that with my audience. So like, occasionally I'll just talk to them and tell them, like, guys, I appreciate what you're doing, and let's continue on this. And even if we grow a little bigger, or if we grow a lot larger, that we can maintain and keep this positive vibe going. That's really important, because at the end of the day, it's what you it's karma, I guess. It's what you bring out to the people that you hope to get in return. So yeah, but I'm happy to see that you noticed that, and I've been hearing that a lot from people, and that really warms my heart. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, I noticed that, because for the first time I came there, like Koba and Mr. Nobody, just right from anywhere coming in, hey, welcome, come play. And I was like, oh my god, guys, I just came in for the first time, I don't know what you do here. And when I noticed, like, even when we actually play, it doesn't matter which rank are you bronze, silver, gold, platinum, like, there is always room for someone. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even if you're playing competitive, like, we will always try to how to say that, to organize in the way so anyone can play. That was the best thing I actually seen.
Well, thank you, that's nice. Yeah, that's exactly it. I always play with my viewers. So like you said, it's really an awesome game to play with a crew, and that's the luxury I have right now. I always have a crew to play with. when the moment I start streaming, there's people in my chat. There's recently they're even in there 20 minutes before I start. When I'm setting my stuff up, I see them in chat talking to each other, which is awesome. There because you're creating a community, and instantly there's people. Can I join? Can I join? Which is just awesome. I always have people to play with, and I try to include everybody. It's not because you're there for the first time that you don't get to play. Like if there's a spot you want to play, you get to play. That's just as simple. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I don't play competitive anymore, is because it became increasingly difficult, because the more people came into the channel, the more levels we got. We had people that were diamond and we had people that were bronze, which is impossible to kind of get them together. But recently we've been doing just 6 versus 6 matches, custom games that we set up between the whole community, and people just swap around in these groups, and it's been amazing. If we can get a 6 versus 6 going, we are in for a really awesome evening, and people are just having a blast, which is nice, which I really appreciate. But yeah, it's always about inclusion, always getting people in, and for me, it's the best way to have fun too.
Yeah, and I think people really recognize that and love it. I think that's why you actually have so many followers on Instagram, because you're interacting with them, you're giving them a chance, you're like welcoming them. There is nothing better that you can do than that. Plus giving them information like in a minute about their favorite game.
Yeah, that's not like, there's so many people that don't know that I'm behind the OmnicPost. There's a lot of people that think that Blizzard is behind the OmnicPost. I get messages on a daily basis of people telling me I need to stop now nerfing Genji, for instance. Genji is getting nerfed. People are sending me messages, please don't nerf Genji. I'm like, sorry, dude, I can't help you. I'm not working for Blizzard. Like, oh, sorry. I thought you were operated by Blizzard. And the same, like, if they come into my channel, they don't always know that I'm the guy behind the OmnicPost, which is funny. If they then notice, like, oh, damn, really? That's kind of fun.
Yeah, but the name OmnicPost, it's really tricky. If we're gonna be honest, like, Omnic Crisis is one of the important thing in Overwatch, and then you have OmnicPost that actually posts everything about the Overwatch updates. So it's kind of logical. Maybe it is from the Blizzard, but at the end, no, it's not.
No. The name itself is indeed, like, I really thought about that name. What is the name I'm going to use here? I wanted to use something like the Washington Post, the New York Post, like it felt like a newspaper, but then give it a bit of a twist. And the Overwatch Post was just, I don't know, that just felt like that's too obvious, and a little twist. And I really liked the aesthetics of the Omnics. As a designer, they are so beautifully done. The way they kind of, the way they use these eyes to kind of make these personalities, these differences, and like the whole hierarchy of the Omnics is kind of based on how many eyes they have, which is an insane concept. And all these things that kind of fascinated me. I don't play Zenyatta a lot, but I really like Zenyatta as a character, as a piece of lore. And I'm really interested, as everybody in the community, to learn more about him. And that kind of triggered me to kind of do that thing. And I think it's, I'm a graphic designer by profession. So things I make will always be professionally designed. And that kind of, that is something you don't see that much either on Instagram. People just generally use mobile tools to do anything. And I'm kind of picky on those. So it needs to look really good, or...
Well, you're trying to be as professional as you can. You want it to look perfect. And that is the point when you're doing things like that. If people catch it with their eyes, like if they see it and find it interesting, they're going to click it, read it, or take time for it. If they just see something that's like, anyone can do that, they're like, it's just another ad, let's go further.
Yeah, so exactly.
That is the point. There is one more thing I'm really interested to hear about. Is how was Omnic Cup created?
The Omnic Cup?
One was finished recently.
Yeah, exactly. We had the Omnic Cup, that's our little community tournament. It all started a few years ago. We did the first one, I think, 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. And I wanted to set something up with the community because I saw these interactions. Back in the day, I wasn't streaming myself, but I saw these interactions on my Instagram account, people talking to each other and kind of talking about their play style, giving tips to each other. And I was thinking about another way to kind of bring these people together and get them to play together. And I actually got questions from people like, "Do you know about tournaments?" And we're looking for tournaments. And I was like, "Why don't I organize one myself?" So the first tournament we did, the first OmniCup was kind of a test where people could just it was 1 versus 1, so everybody could just join in, but they didn't need to have a team. And we did one in Europe and we did one in the United States. And then I think you can relate to this. You start out with this idea of what you want to do. On paper, it looks really simple, but the moment you
Yeah.
start organizing it, you're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, yeah, there's all these small things I need to keep in account." And at the end, I had some people to help me out, which was good. But at the end, I was like, when it was over, I was so tired. I was like, kind of, well, there were people that didn't show up, which is something that happens. So slightly frustrated. I was like, okay, this was fun, and a lot of people had fun, but I'm not doing that one again anytime soon because it just is too much work. But then a few months ago, people in my chat were like, "Oh, do one of the Omnicops again," and were really asking me for it. And I was like, okay, let's see what we can do. And again, I went through the same phases. I was like, okay, we can manage this. We can manage this. And then in the middle of it, I was like, why have I started? And then our team is not showing up again. And afterwards, like now I'm like, okay, let's see. Maybe in another 2 years, we'll do one again, but trying to kind of, if I ever get to a point, because right now I'm focused on 2 jobs at the same time and both really complex jobs. So I have my day job, and for anything I do for Atomics, which is the company that is involved with. So that's basically my company that does anything OmnicPost, streaming, and the videos, and all the other accounts. If one day I can shift and kind of focus solely on Atomics, then I might have more time to do these again. But they're just so intense to organize. It takes a lot of time to do it. So it kind of all depends on how that is going. But it's always a fun, like the last ones we did a few weeks ago. So we did one weekend in Europe and the other one in the States, which was a lot of fun, and a lot of people came watching, and it was interesting to see how people kind of cheered for a team they have never seen, people
Yeah.
they don't know at all, but they were cheering for that team. That was interesting. You always learn a lot about the way people kind of interact with each other and the community thing. So we will see. For now, it's let's just say maybe in 2 years I'll do another one.
Just go slowly. There is, well, definitely no need to rush into anything. Take your
Yeah,
own pace
exactly.
and be like, when it happens, it happens.
Exactly.
Because
And maybe I need
everything
to
else.
look into partnerships, people to help me out. And there's a lot
Yeah,
of people
true.
that approach me on a daily basis, like, do you want to collaborate? But I want to be sure that I collaborate. I have this ethos I want to keep intact. The whole approach of making
Yeah.
sure that it's friendly, that it's nice, that it is that it's professional. And that of course, if you start working with external people, you don't always have that. You don't always have a grasp on that. So I need to make
Yeah.
sure that I take proper steps.
Well, I think that's all the time we actually had for today.
All right, that was quick. It just flew by. Like time
Yeah.
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like 26 minutes. Great.
Nice,
I want to
nice.
thank you for joining me today. It was really
My
fun
pleasure.
talking to you.
Same.
For all of you who are watching this, down below you will have links to the OmnicPost, AtomiixTV, and everything. So go check it out definitely, and see you some other times, guys. Enjoy.